People have said that, you know, Joe Jackson was mean and you know, said he was a womanizer, and said that, you know, different things happened, you know, in his household, allegedly, that people felt, you know, shouldn't have happened. It was alleged that, you know, he beat Michael Jackson, and you know, he had a very firm hand in discipline while the children were coming up, allegedly. I don't know if he did or didn't in terms of his method of discipline. I don't know if it was too rough or too firm or abusive. That part I don't know, because I wasn't there. But allegedly, it has been said that Joe Jackson was real abusive, particularly to Michael. I had to think back for a little while. I'm not, you know, too much younger. They're not too much older than I am. They're a little older than I am, but we kind of came up in the same generation. And with that being said, at that time, you know, fathers had to have a firm hand with their children. At that time, it was so many things going on in the streets, in your environment, schools, other kids, that, you know, most of the time the parents really had to have a firm hand with their children. In my household, my dad had a firm hand, and it kept me out of trouble. Real talk. It kept me out of trouble. That was just the way it was back then, you know. There wasn't this big old thing about child protective services like it is today. You know, if you chastise a child today, you know, they can call child protective services on you, and, you know, you can get in a lot of trouble for that. Well, back then, there really wasn't a need for child protective services, because in the household, the father and or the mother would spare the rod, spoil the child. That's what the Bible say. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do recall it saying, spare the rod, spoil the child. I don't know if I said it correctly, but I think I did. And that's just the way it was. It was like that with your grandmother, with your uncle, with your community. You know, I remember times getting spankings from my best friend's mother, you know, and then had to go home and face the fact that I had to again get a spanking from my parents. But they weren't being mean, they were just trying to show me the way to go. And knowing that when I got older, all the discipline that they instilled in me, I was going to need it. For real. And all the discipline I got kept me out of the penitentiary. And that's real talk. A lot of my friends around me, they went to the pen or they went to the graveyard. Sometimes I wish my father would have chastised me a little bit more, because some of the mistakes that I made, I wouldn't have made. Some of the stupid stuff that I did, I wouldn't have went through. Now, being that your environment is stronger than your nature, in growing up, you're going to go through some things. You're going to go through some things. You know, I got involved with some things, and the thing about it is I thought about them chastisements my dad gave me, and I never stayed in it too long. Or either I didn't do it, one of the two. I just didn't get involved because I thought about them chastisements I got. And again, I know my dad wasn't just being mean to me. He was just really trying to give me a proper upbringing and show me the way to go, because he knew that them streets out there is mean, Jack. Like he used to always tell me, he'd say, hey, that cop with that billy club, they ain't gonna give a damn about you. See, I'll stop chastising you. But that cop out there with that billy club, and that always stayed on my mind. But in saying that, I have to look at what's in front of me when it comes to the Jackson family. I have to look at all of the sons and all of the daughters and look at how they turned out. It seems to me that none of the sons went to the penitentiary. None of the sons killed nobody, and none of the sons were killed. It seems to me that none of the daughters went to the penitentiary. None of them killed nobody and weren't killed or didn't end up on Horror's Row. Now you might say that's kind of harsh, but that's what you got to look at when you're evaluating a situation. You dig? So they all speak intelligently. They all still carry mannerisms, the proper mannerisms. You don't see them, you know, cussing and doing this, that, and the other in front of the camera. You know, when it comes to that, when it comes to statistics, I think Joe did a damn good job. Nobody went to the penitentiary, nobody got killed, and nobody killed nobody. And you got all them boys, and nobody went to the pen, and nobody killed nobody. Pfft, man, come on, man. Come on. You got to give credit where credit is due. I may not agree with a lot of things that Joe have done over the years, according to what I've read and what I was told. I may not agree with some of the things, but I got to look at him in terms of chastising his children. I have to look at the turnout. I mean, look at him, man. Look at his family, man. Look at him. Look at him. All respectable. All speak very well. I believe all of them finished school. High school back then, you know. You know, you got to look at that, man. You know, the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. But today, they say if you spare the child, if you spare the rod, they're going to put you in jail. So now you got man's law and you got God's law. Man say don't do it. God law say spare the rod, spoil the child. Man law, God law. Who law you gonna choose? I'm through talking.